Welcome back. We are discussing about bean scopes. We talked about singleton, prototype, and also we talked about something called proxy in the last step. In this step, let's find the difference between a typical singleton pattern. Whenever we talk about singleton, we are talking about gang of four design patterns. The singleton there, how does it compare with a spring context singleton? That's the thing which we would want to talk about. Before that, there are a couple of important things that you need to understand. Let's get started with our example that we created in this last step, scope application. The important thing here is whenever on the same instance of the person DAO, if I'm calling get JDBC connection again, what would happen? It would actually get a new JDBC connection. So on the same instance, I'm calling get JDBC connection, and now I have two different JDBC connections. So total, if you'd see enough, there are three JDBC connections which are present. So the scope proxy is very important, especially when even on the same instance. So here on the same instance person DAO, I'm calling get JDBC connection twice. I would want two different instances of JDBC connections being used. That's the reason why a proxy becomes very, very important. What would happen is instead of the JDBC connection getting auto-wired into the person DAO, what would be auto-wired in is something called a proxy. So a proxy gets auto-wired in here, and whenever you call the get JDBC connection, the proxy would make sure that it would return the new JDBC connection back. There is one more word of caution before we move into the specific topic. Thing is this. So now we have started creating more application classes. So now we have a Spring in 5 steps scope application, basic application. So be careful which one you are trying to run. So whenever you click this, it would run whatever was last run. So be careful and make sure that you are choosing the right one to run based on the example that we are working on. In the subsequent examples, we'll be creating a number of applications like this, so that for each of the topic that we are discussing, we have a separate application class which is present. Getting on to the scope of singleton and the difference with the gang of four design pattern called singleton. In the gang of four design patterns, whenever they say singleton, it basically means one singleton per JVM. Per Java virtual machine, you have one instance of that bean. However, when we talk about singleton in Spring, it's one instance per application context. By gang of four definition, even if multiple application contexts are running in the same JVM, you should just have one instance of that specific class. However, when we talk about Spring Singleton, there can be one instance of that class per one application context. So if there are 5 application contexts that are running in the same JVM, I'm here talking about a really hypothetical scenario, but you never know. So if there are 5 application contexts that are running in single JVM, then if I have Spring Beans of scope singleton, then I'll have 5 instances. However, if you are having a singleton which meets the definition of gang of four design patterns singleton, there will only be one instance of it. You need to keep this difference in mind, and when we talk about application context, Bean Factory and IOC, we'll come back to this topic a little more. Until the next step, bye bye.